All right. Welcome, everybody, to Networking the No Rules Way with author Chrsity Smallwood. I'm your host, Sabrina Watson. And Chrsity has been so kind as to share her book link in the chat for us so that you can actually read her book, which is all about no rules networking. Today, we're going to talk about your presentation. And when you say your presentation, what does that mean, Chrsity?
So the presentation, it's bringing your full self into the room, regardless of the format. So let's actually, you know what? Here's a good plan. Let's talk about LinkedIn for a second.
Okay.
When you're presenting yourself on LinkedIn, do you have a complete presentation for one? Does it make sense? Does it say everything that you want it to say? With LinkedIn, your target market of people, are you using the keywords that they're going to search for to find you on LinkedIn in your header, in your title? So as it searches through, it's going to search that title just as much as anything else. And so do you have all of that prepared? Your picture is highly important. So now let's take this picture. Is it representative of the message you want other people to receive of you and your business? If it is not, get a professional picture taken. I'm totally a fan of professional headshots because somebody that knows how to pull out an emotion from you, my headshot guy is wonderful because he has different looks for me. I have the sassy look, the I'm credible look, and the I'm fun to work with look. And each one of those, I'm in the same outfit, I just have a different look on my face, and he's able to pull that out. So I put that according to different platforms. That same kind of feel will happen when you're walking into a room. What face are you putting on? What's your body language? Does the dress that you're wearing, and when I say dress, it's the attire. Doesn't matter if you're a guy or a gal. What is the attire that you have on your body? Does it match with the message you're trying to send the world? Are you a personal trainer? That is very appropriate to walk into a room with your personal trainer outfit on, or a windbreaker with the information on the back. If you are not a personal trainer, do not come in with Under Armour shirts into a professional setting unless that is your business. So it's the dress for the message that you want people to receive. Same thing on every platform that we have out there. Think about it. What message do I want them to receive of me, and am I being intentional with that message in everything I put out? So that's that's the presentation as a whole.
I want to mention that whole photo thing for just a minute. Also, I do want to say, you guys, that we do have an open seat. Feel free to jump in if you'd like, because we're here with author Chrsity Smallwood talking about networking the No Rules Way. You can also find us on networklivevirtually.com. But one thing that I want to mention is the photo situation. Here, I find it rather amusing that everybody's profile pic is actually from, when they were like 29.
There's that. Update it.
So I think it's rather important actually to have an updated photo, isn't it? I mean, I just went and had professional photos done. Now on my Facebook profile, that picture is, I guess I went and had pictures done with my granddaughter, and I cut that piece out of a professional picture done with my granddaughter, but I think she was only 2 or 3 at the time, and she's like 7 now. So, mine's only 4 or 5 years old, but I mean, come on, let's face it, you aren't 29 anymore. And when you try to put yourself off like that, I think that is a little deceiving. So
yes, it really is. I have 2 things. One, I have a good story to tell about that. So the business partner I have, he had moved from Los Angeles to Elizabethtown, Kentucky. Now, Los Angeles to Elizabethtown is like moving from China to Indiana.
I know E-Town like the back of my hand.
Right? It's this big.
It's that big.
So he had wanted to be able to start networking and build some relationships in the community. Went and saw a directory of people in the real estate business, and this lady was also involved in the Chamber of Commerce. So he's like, I'm going to go introduce myself. And she had this wonderful professional glamour shot style picture in her directory picture. When he walked in, she was like this little 80-year-old woman just kind of hobbling down the hallway to come meet him. Total disconnect.
Wow.
Total disconnect. So yes, updated pictures are important even for professionals. But I know with actors and actresses, so let's take it to this other industry, actors and actresses who are going in for auditions, they recommend them every 6 months to get new headshots, because if you lose weight, if you change your hair color, if you change, especially women, if you are changing your hairstyle, I just got this little bang thing, which means I probably need to go get my headshot done again. But I'd like to wait till I get 20 pounds off to get my headshot done
I'd
again.
like to wait till I get 40 pounds off, but we're not going to go there.
Yeah, if you have some changes going on, because what it does, and I've had this happen because I use my picture on my business card. If I, by some chance, we all are human, we make mistakes. When I put my picture out there and I've set an appointment and I've forgotten the appointment, somebody can still find me in a crowd or on a street going, "Hey, are you ready for our 9:30?" And I'm like, "Oh,
that's
yes,
exactly how
yes,
we
I
found
can."
each other in downtown Disney World.
Yes,
Just
we had already
recently, as a
seen
matter
each
of
other.
fact, Christy and I had never met prior to hooking up in downtown Disney World. What about just a few weeks ago?
Yes.
I'm in Florida. She's in Kentucky. And good morning, Preston, by the way.
Yes, good
Welcome.
morning.
Sorry, we just kept talking over you like you weren't there, but you're there. So take a moment, tweet a little bird for us, invite some friends. And what's happening? Let's talk about your presentation.
Well,
you're working on it. I know you're working on it because I was just in another meeting with you. So you're starting to feel more comfortable about that.
Well, yeah, the presentations that I've had for the last, couple of years since I've been in the business has been mostly because I've set up appointments and then we have a one-to-one using Skype or some other means, because obviously I'm here in Honduras. I can't actually meet face-to-face. And that's worked well, but you have to do a lot of calls in order to get those appointments. So, I'm trying to do more things on Blab. I'm trying to do more things on LinkedIn and connecting that way, and actually having appointments that way as opposed to making the cold calls. And it's a lot of work, obviously, to do the research and to find the people. My presentation, when I actually walk through my website, I think is good. I think it gets the points that I need. And obviously, Chrsity, I still have to read your book, and I apologize. But, my time, what I'm focused on, obviously, is a specific niche and a specific customer base. However, that customer base is not always readily available. And so I'm now trying to create a way to reach out to people who work with that base and say, okay, here's what I have. Since you already have a relationship with this individual or, company that I would love to reach out to, I will incentivize you to help me by basically, if they become a client, I give you a percentage of the sale. And it's a really generous amount. I figured out that I could probably do about $250. Now, I got to be careful with that because obviously, people will maybe give me a lot of leads and it will be not really good leads. But I feel if the incentive is high enough, right, $250 is a lot of money. And anybody could use that in their budget. So I feel that by offering that, I'm reducing my workload, so to speak. And if they like me, hopefully they'll do business with me in that aspect. I'm also learning, obviously, through Charlene and through you, Sabrina, and, of course, Chrsity, that, the shameless plugs I got to be careful about, especially in certain areas.
Good job.
I'm mostly a salesperson, so obviously I have that background that, my background is I used to actually go door to door, every single business in the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. That was my job. But I enjoyed it because I met a lot of people. I collected a lot of business cards, obviously. I did a lot of networking like that. And I got a whole database of 10,000 people. Okay. Plus now I'm adding more now with Blab and LinkedIn and all the social media stuff.
Well, I have to say that I think so many of us were probably trained in that was the method of sales if you were doing sales. And I think that the sales world has definitely changed. Charlene Burke says, hustle is great. Just be aware of where you're hustling.
Yeah. And I, I'm specific now, obviously, and I have been in the last year, but I'm just changing my whole business model and how I'm doing things. Because cold calling, even though I'm used to it, even though it got success, it was a lot of work and it just didn't seem to work as well. The referral program, I can't go to my client, let's say, who's a resort and say, hey, do you know of another resort that'd be interested in?
Well, actually, you really should do that, though, shouldn't you, Chrsity?
Well, I have.
It's a tricky thing to ask for. It depends on how well they play together in their industry.
Right.
It just depends, because I know, like, the coaching industry depends on their niche on if they play well together. The distillery industry here in Kentucky, they play well together. They'll do events together and they do samplings. You've got the Jim Beam and you've got Evan Williams and you've got all kinds of small distilleries. They'll actually be at the same place and they all support each other. That's awesome. But that's rare. I mean, KFC is not going to sit in the same room with Zaxby's. It's kind of that simple. They're not going to refer. So it really, I think this falls under, it depends on the industry and how well they play together. I'm not sure about the resort industry. I know Disney's not going to play with anybody else.
Right.
That much I know.
Well, they're kind of in a league all their own.
Actually, they do golf together. The presidents, they get together and they do golf. And they discuss things.
They have their own secret masterminds, make no mistake.
Oh, yes. I'm sure they do all have their own secret masterminds.
But, that's a good, good thing, because I was in another Blab and trying to, identify the specific niche or the specific company I wanted to go for. And it was a LinkedIn conversation, which was really good. The thing is that, she asked, well, what's your ideal client? Well, okay, my ideal client is Walt Disney World, but they are so huge. And even connecting with them on LinkedIn, I'm doing that, and I'm getting some good people, quality people that are now linking in with me, and I'm having conversations online, but I haven't had a real appointment yet. So it's like, do I refocus my efforts on something smaller? Because I just heard something about, you eat an elephant one bite at a time. But then I heard this adage that hunting for elephants is fun, but you have to make a living doing it. So you have to eat the rabbits that are kind of all around you.
Ooh, interesting analogy.
Yeah. Which is true. I mean, we're kind of in a sales conversation now, but it's true, because I have a client who will actually, there's trout, and then there's otters, I think. Otters or sea lions, and then there's whales. Yeah. So they have like these 3 levels of things. And yes, you want whale clients. You definitely want whale clients. But if you're banking your whole business on a whale client, your business is going to go under very quickly if they change their mind. It happened. A friend of mine worked in the oil industry. The company that he worked with had one client. That one client went bankrupt. So did that business.
Yes,
because they didn't, right, because they didn't fill it in with a small, medium, and large kind of concept. And so you want to be able to do that. So your dream client is, of course, Walt Disney. So what piece of Walt Disney is your perfect client? Well, that then becomes like a medium. And then out of that, what is the niche? And that becomes a small. So whenever you start niching into out of the dream, how do you niche each section? That way you can start filling in your pipeline at all different levels. Right. And knowing those different levels, you know who you want to talk to. And the other aspect of it is your presentation is the way that you present yourself needs to be consistent with everybody, but your verbiage to each one of those is different.
Right. The message is different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then we just had a discussion this morning about that I have, multiple business interests, not just what I'm doing, for the tourist world, but in that tourist world and in that resort and hotel world, I can also apply some of my other businesses that I've worked on for the last 4 years to be able to become part of my service offerings, if you will, as an added value to each individual client that I work with. But to create all those messages specifically, that's the hard thing, because it takes a lot of time, and it's time away from a phone call, or it's time away from research or those type of things. And I know I can hire somebody, but right now I need to create more sales. So it's kind of a combination.
Gold Star Clubs, who is actually, Todd Davis says, sounds like a focus of industry could help. And you're probably right. Yeah. But I think he's got several industries actually that he's working on, Todd. But I want to move us back a little bit to our topic today, which is we're talking about our presentation with author Chrsity Smallwood. And again, Chrsity, if you could put your link in the chat box for anybody who's new. She has graciously provided us with her book on Google Docs, so you are welcome to read along with us. We're not actually reading the book, but we are talking about it. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about, because we're talking about presentation, or I wanted to bring up with Chrsity, was I told her earlier, I actually went to a local networking event last night, and I very, very rarely ever do that. In fact, I haven't done that in years because I don't like them, frankly. And because it's full of a room of pigeons. And for anybody who knows me, pigeons fly by, drop their shit, and keep going. So that's why I don't go to local networking events. But this one happened to be very different in the sense that when I walked in, the first thing I heard the gal telling somebody is, here's the rules. You cannot walk around and hand out your business cards. You need to walk around and meet other people. And I just want Chrsity to talk about that presentation just a little bit, because that was a way of her controlling the way we were all presenting ourselves. And I'll tell you what, I had an amazing time. Can you speak to that a little bit, Chrsity?
Well, by doing that, by setting the tone of set the business card aside, it takes away the comfort zone that your marketing tool is now gone. That your reliance on this piece of paper or this little piece of cardboard is going to get you some business by handing over the card. It's a mental move to take that away so that we're taking away the blockage of, let's talk about being human beings first. Let's see how we can really connect with people and not just talk about business. So it already kind of, what she did for you guys is set the tone that it's okay to not talk about business if you didn't want to. Let's talk about how we can create some connections. How do we relate to each other? Do we have stuff in common? Do I even like you before I want to go back and get your business card? Mm-hmm. And so she kind of set the tone just by saying, don't pass out your business card. Go get it if you want it.
Right. And that worked really effectively. And I just want to remind everybody, we've got an open seat here. So feel free to jump in if you want to talk about your presentation. Do you network locally? Do you network virtually? Let's talk about it. So Preston, I know that you network virtually a lot and that you've been really working on changing up your presentation. How is that doing? How's that working for you with results?
Well, the results are interesting. I mean, sales aren't in yet, okay, but I know that takes time. But what I'm noticing is that the quality of people that I'm meeting are a lot higher than what I used to meet before. And I'm creating collaboration between many people that I wouldn't have had ever discovered if I didn't get involved with Blab, if I didn't get involved with them, and being able to open my mind to what they're doing and seeing if we can work together. It's still taking time, obviously, but the relationships I think I'm building are a little bit better than even the friends that I have.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. How do you pronounce your name?
Iso.
Iso?
Yes.
Hi, Iso. So are you working on doing some networking, Iso?
Student.
I'm sorry?
He's a student.
Student.
Oh, you're a student. Okay. So what would you like to contribute to our conversation about networking?
Where are from?
I'm sorry?
Where are from?
Anybody help me with that?
We are in the U.S.
Okay.
And I'm from Kentucky in the United States.
And
we're
yes.
All right. Isa, well, we're talking about networking in your presentation. Do you have something to add to our conversation? Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Anyway, we've got an open seat. Here comes Todd. Here we go, Todd.
And there's Todd.
And there's
Hi, everybody.
not Todd. Well, he's kind of there. Hi, Todd.
Hey, Todd.
I seem to be flashing. Am I flashing to you folks?
Oh, there you are, Todd. You are now. Yeah, you were there and now you're gone.
That's
there
weird.
you go. You're back. Gone back. Yeah, it's strange. All right.
I'm
Okay. So Todd's going to refresh and try again to join us. Here he comes. See if that works for him this time. Blab has some strange quirks, doesn't it?
I don't know if it's Blab on this case.
Oh, it might be like the Manicam or something.
Yeah, I mean, my
probably is a Manicam.
Yeah.
Are you using Manicam, Todd?
Yeah.
I have not had good luck getting Manicam to work for me, so I just haven't been using it. But I really need to take some time to sit down and play with it, and I don't know. Maybe I'll talk to Todd about it later and see if I can figure out how it works. Charlene says Manicam doesn't work for her at all. It does. It works for me kind of just with some basics, but I've only messed with it with some basics. So again, you guys, please tweet that we're here. We're talking about Networking the No Rules Way with author Chrsity Smallwood. She has provided a copy of her book for those of you that are new and would like to read along. The link is in the chat area there.
And
Again. Charlene says, hey, Michael, good to see you. So go ahead, Chrsity, go ahead and speak a little bit some more about presenting and how you present yourself.
well, let's talk a little bit about the fun aspect of presenting, which is a personal branding.
Ooh,
So
there we go.
anytime we are trying to get our marketing message out there, we are the first line of offense. So people are going to decide, we decide naturally if we like somebody or not, if we want to continue to talk to them because we can kind of connect with them, resonate with them on a certain level. And so if you have a company that has a strong brand, then you can associate yourself with that brand. If you kind of notice that on my shirt, I have a superhero, okay? My business has a culture of superhero and we love it. And I have been, prior to this business, associated with the character Wonder Woman. And so when we talk about fun and business and how I can come help business, and, it's the people can see me very quickly associated with Wonder Woman. And so what tends to happen is then I go speak about women empowerment, and the Wonder Woman is an easy thread into that. It becomes part of my personal brand, and it's an element of fun for me. So much so that I actually, when I go speak,
Do you seriously? Oh, that is so funny.
right? Now, that's just the element of fun, but people have associated me with that so much that anytime they see something about Wonder Woman that's out there, they're starting a conversation with me about something that's been out there with Wonder Woman because they like that. It's fun. If you have something that people can associate with you that they enjoy and you've connected at a certain level, anytime they see something, they're going to immediately associate that with you. I've just been blessed that DC Comics is continuing to put stuff out there about Wonder Woman, and people are associating that with me. I don't have to try so hard to brand myself. It helps. But if you are starting out, what is it that you want people to be able to associate with you in their mind, or a certain kind of topic? If you are credible and an expert at fill in the blank, then they are going to be able to associate that with you when they're not around you. And you want to give them an easy button to think about you, to keep top of mind. So this is why building the relationship in the beginning is so necessary and key to making your efforts efficient. Because if you can do that and create likability and credibility as to what you do, people like you, and then there's an association. So that's part of the presentation. How you are presenting yourself out there, people can relate to and associate with. And you want them to continue to do that when they're not around you. Mm-hmm. And you'll never forget the tiara now, will you?
Oh, you muted yourself, Sabrina, somehow.
Sabrina, you're muted. Can't hear you.
Sorry, I was just going to say, Charlene says, people love my character I use for business. I think I should start carrying a magnifying glass with me. And Asher, I love her character too. I think it's cool. So you think it's important to create a character?
It doesn't necessarily have to be a character. There's a security company in my area called Hawkeye Security. And they have these bright yellow vehicles with a blue logoed hawk into their as their icon kind of thing. People resonate with that. They know when they see yellow, they've already associated that with Hawkeye. Same goes for Interstate All Battery Center. They're one of my clients here in town. Those guys wear these bright lime green shirts. You can't miss them. And they're also associated very much so with NASCAR because they sponsor a NASCAR car. So they already have that association with the battery aspect of NASCAR. They have a built-in loyal audience with NASCAR, and they wear lime green. You get those two people together, they don't have to talk about batteries. They automatically kind of like the guy based on the association with NASCAR.
I've seen that before, obviously, and you know what you're talking about. I did that actually in Minneapolis when I was out in networking groups. Is I wanted to differentiate myself between everybody else, even if they weren't a competitor of mine. I just wanted them to know me. So I was working for a marketing company actually at the time, and we created this whole persona of myself, and I was called the Master Caster. And what I did is every time I went to a networking event, I would have a fishing hat on. And people would always ask, well, what are you, a tour guide? Are you this? Are you this? And it would create conversation, and it was really unique. And now, you know, when I came on Blab, as an example, as some of you guys know, and I was going to do today, but of course my technology didn't work, to show the background of the beautiful locations that we have. But also you'll notice what I did yesterday. If you know my profile, I put a little airplane right there. And that's a little bit different, kind of stands out. And it obviously signifies travel. So you have to differentiate yourself, I think. And I think in the presentation itself, you know, like you said, I mean, Chrsity, I'll never forget that you're Wonder Woman now. I mean, I'll just automatically know you're the Wonder Woman, and you're the one who will make things happen, and you will defeat all thy enemies. And I need to talk to you eventually here, like I promised I would.
Yeah, I don't think anybody will ever forget Chrsity putting a tiara on live streaming.
No, that's great.
And who doesn't want to work with Wonder Woman? Come on, seriously.
I agree with you. Who doesn't want to work with Wonder Woman? Charlene Burke says she needs to get a magnifying glass pen. I agree, Charlene, but I think you need to somehow have I think what you need to do is get you one of them name tags, go to some specialty place and have your little dude with the magnifying glass put on your name tag. Because I love your little dude with the magnifying glass. I think that would be absolutely perfect.
There
Here
she
she
goes.
goes.
There she is. Charlene Burke's going to join us. There you go. So, Preston, I'm going to ask you to open up the seat. So we've got somebody new that wants to come in.
Bye,
Thanks
Preston.
for joining us.
Yeah,
It's
see,
all-
I mean, I've got this, and even just like on my character, the one eye, you know.
I think you need
But
to
I can't
bring
get rid of her. I actually, when I started Grow Because You Know, people were asking me, please don't get rid of her. So I'm going to be working with a branding expert over the next year to combine the two.
There you go.
But that's what I'm associated with. I'm a search expert.
Yep.
I help people find you, and I help find information for you. So it works.
I'm excited. Yay. That'll be fun.
Well, that's one of the, when you were talking about presentation, and that's something that's been on my mind a lot. So on Grow Because You Know, I have the tree with a brain in it, and I didn't think that would be appropriate to like bring to a presentation like a brain. So I thought I could still use the magnifying glass in terms of learning. Looking for things, looking deeper, asking questions, that sort of thing. And so that's essentially what I'm going to be doing, which I've got 3 of these in varying sizes, and I do have a small one. But the idea is that when the last couple of physical presentations I've done, I've not had this, and I've thought about it afterwards saying it would have been perfect. Chrsity, the one I've done about research.
Yes.
The basics of research that you can do on your own. Asking 5 people, you can go on Google Analytics, and I give examples and everything. This would have been perfect, So that's I'm going to get the pin, and then I'm going to get the, because I'm just going to keep the character. She's in her detective outfit. If I could find a detective outfit, I might do that. One thing at a time, though.
Baby steps.
Yeah. Yeah, but seriously, you've known her since well, I guess we met in 2010 or 09, something like that. I'd already had her for well over a year by then. I got lucky. Just to answer Sabrina's earlier question, I got lucky with the graphic designer I used for all the branding for Search by Burke when I first began. I wanted a caricature because I wanted a sense of whimsy, a sense of something a little different, because that's what I bring, is a little sense of something different and a bit of a sense of humor. And, I take the client and the data seriously. I just don't take myself that seriously. So I needed that to be shown. And she's the one that came up with the character. So kudos to Fiona Kerr out of Vancouver, British Columbia. That's what she did. That everything. I mean, she designed my business cards, both sides. She designed my postcards, my that which went on my website, everything.
Awesome.
And when you're able to bring the brand that's on your marketing to life through your person, because now we're in the Blab situation. With your stuff, I would always have it right there handy to be able to pull it up and talk to people. Wear a hat. Wear that hat all the time. Right, exactly.
Okay, let me get it on the eye. Really freaked me out. The problem is that I essentially am branding myself here with Grow because it's primarily individuals I'm working with here.
I don't see a problem with you holding up a little brain over to the side going, or, taking the brain and part.
No, you know what I want to do? All right. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a little spongy brain, and then I'm going to have the glass of water that said, when you grow.
See?
Yeah, that's me. I would do that.
Yes, you would.
Or, let's really take a close look at this, people.
Poor Todd. He just cannot get in here to save his soul.
Oh, Todd, I was hoping you would.
Come on, Todd. We really want to talk to you.
I got to give a shout out to Chef Mike. Hey, Mike. Good to see you. Chef
Todd,
Mike.
just turn off your Manny cam.
Yeah, just turn it off.
Yeah. So the personal branding aspect of our message isn't anything different than companies do anyway. So if you think about the companies that are out there marketing and their brand association, how well do we know certain brands? Home Depot, what's their color? KFC, what's their color? If you have a specific color if you have a color that looks great on you, stick to it all the time. All the time.
Yeah.
Because that if you get complimented on it, keep going with it.
Charlene will be happy to know that I showed up last night at that networking event just like I always told her I would. I had a tank top,
yoo-hoo,
a collared shirt over the top, a pair of jeans, 6-inch heels, and a bling bling belt.
You go, Sabrina. That's it. That's who you are.
Okay, you guys, I just want to remind you one more time, please remember to tell Little Bird. We're networking the No Rules Way today with author Chrsity Smallwood. She has graciously shared her book with us. You can also find us on networklivevirtually.com, where we network live virtually with 6 meetings a week. Todd, what's happening? You finally made it in.
Wow. You guys, it's great. Thank you for putting up with my Manny cam. Jeepers. It's the first time I've actually live blabbed with it, and I set it up. I thought, I am just going to be wonderful with this. Yeah, not so much. Okay. I've learned.
Yes, also, not so much, huh?
Yeah, please. Anyway, so that's what I've been doing. And anyway, you guys do virtual live networking. I think that's awesome. And I do face-to-face networking around the country.
Our virtual networking is face-to-face, Todd.
Oh, is it? I thought it was by webcam.
Well, it is, but we have a room full just like this. Only we have up to 25
We have
people.
more.
Well, and this is face-to-face, isn't it?
Yes, it is face-to-face.
But
the only thing I can't do is shake your hand.
Yep.
Oh, wait. I can give you some props, though.
Right.
Yeah, and if you're sick, we won't get your computer virus.
Hey, that's good. That's good. No, we do groups around the country that meet, and that's what we do. And so I thought.
How do they meet?
I beg your pardon?
How do they meet groups around the country? You're talking about like chapters of some kind of networking thing?
Right. We have clubs, and they meet on a weekly basis, and they get together and do a ton of business together. It came from a meeting this morning, and we're headquartered in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Who figured? We have about 80 groups across the country, and we operate in a little bit different. Anyway, a little different mode, but I'm not here to pitch that, of course. But I was very interested in obviously your topic, but also I've signed up for your newsletter to find out more about what it is that you do, Sabrina. So that's awesome. And Chrsity, I'm going to find out more about you as I can. So your book sounds great. I don't have it. I'm a big fan of Google Drive, so this is all good to me. And I've listened to Charlene on numerous blabs, and so Charlene, it's good to see you again. Actually, we're now meeting face to face, so there you go.
Yes,
so, thank you, Charlene.
High five, buddy.
That's right. That's right. Just like that. Wait, there's some high fives. So.
Yeah, give you some props. Some props. Now, the interesting thing is that Gold Star is actually the referral type networking, where it's expected that you're going to meet with each other so that you can give referrals. Whereas what we're doing virtually, and what Sabrina hosts, what Chrsity teaches, as well as what I host one on Wednesday mornings, is networking, which is, it'd be nice if we get referrals, but initially it's an opportunity to actually truly get to know one another because we're not sure that everything's a good fit.
And create some relationships.
Yeah, and just create business relationships. The associations of, I've got business people within my network and I'm expanding my network, whether I can tap into it for somebody else or they can tap into theirs for me, something like that.
Sure.
And our goal, Todd, also is to create those relationships globally, worldwide, not necessarily on a local level.
Which is awesome.
Local networking obviously clearly has its place, but even if you're locally networking and you have the ability to sell to somebody outside of that geographical location, then you need to be networking with the world, not just that geographical location.
Absolutely. I'm with you.
So today, Miss Chrsity, we're talking about presentation. So Todd, what's your thoughts on your presentation and how you present yourself? Let's talk about it.
Well, if you're talking about a face-to-face handshaking type presentation, we do a lot of training for our people on how to do it, which is, of course, introduce yourself with your name and your company and what it is you do. Tell a specific story where the person who's giving the presentation says they help somebody or they use their product or service somehow to make it so they look like the hero. And then to be able to say, and a good referral for me is somebody that matches that. So, for example, years ago, I was in real estate for a long, long time. And one of the things I asked for that people always laughed at me, I asked to be introduced to pregnant women. And they would look at me. Now, my wife is my partner, and also she's the CEO for the company. But we went to meetings together, and I would ask for pregnant women. And people would look at me like I was nuts. And I said, if they're about expecting, they may need to have another room in the house. And I said, that may be a good client for me. And that's all they thought about all week long. And many times, depending on what I asked for, small closets, things like that, they would give me a call and say, Todd, I've got a referral for you. Go and meet this lady. And it was, so that's how we do it. We do it specifically to get, well, I take it back, not to get, specifically to be able to give referrals to people that we know, like, and trust, but also to receive. And if you give referrals, you're going to get referrals. And we prove that time and time again. So it works. I had shall I go on, or that's the presentation?
Of course you can go on. Absolutely go on if you'd like to. I do want to say, though, that Todd, don't you feel like maybe times are changing a little bit and that the elevator speech is kind of going out the window, that it's more about connecting with people and creating relationships?
I absolutely believe that business is done more by relationships that they develop. However, what we've done is we put them in an organized fashion into a room to say, folks, here's your group of people. Of course, we grow the groups and, get more people, but get to know the people. You can't, for an example, as a real estate broker, I couldn't automatically trust the mortgage broker because I didn't know him. So I automatically wouldn't give them all of my clients that I was working with to get them mortgages. So it had to be a gentle little baby steps first. I might give them a loan that if it fell apart, I really wasn't going to be heartbroken. But the big money loans, I might give to my trusted mortgage broker that I already had a relationship with, who I knew could do the job. So when I moved into meeting someone new in, for example, one of our Gold Star clubs, I walked very gently. I wanted to give them a time to prove themselves to me and develop that relationship. Because as you know, if a real estate agent doesn't get the money to fund the house, you don't have a closing. Then the real estate agent doesn't get paid. And so what I taught my agents and what I still teach our people in our groups is you get to know the person before you commit 100% to them. And it's all about building the relationships. When you have that relationship, you're going to give it to them because you like them, you trust them, you know they're going to do a great job for whatever product or service they represent. And you know that your trust of Bill or Sally is going to be transferred over to your client or your friend that needs the product or service. And if I tell my friend, hey, you've got to talk to Sabrina, for an example, and they trust me, which they would, and I would tell them a little bit about you, then all of a sudden they're going to trust you because I trust you. Does that make sense? So
it absolutely makes sense. But
I'm sorry, go ahead.
It absolutely makes sense, Todd. But what I'm really referring to is more about the presentation and the introduction. And you just said, correct me if I'm wrong, that you say, hi, my name is Todd Davis. Here's my 17-second elevator speech, and a great referral for me would be. Which is indicative of the group that you're with. What I'm suggesting is that maybe you should say, hi, I'm Todd Davis, and I would really like to learn more about you before I tell you more about me. I'm saying that I feel like the world's changing more that direction, and those local referral clubs that are doing just exactly what you're saying you do, I think are a little bit old school. Forgive me for saying that. So that's why I'm asking the question. Maybe
old school, but they are very, very productive and can put a lot of business in people's pocket. The small business person who does not do, and it would change my presentation to someone that I meet. Christy?
Hi.
Weigh in, Christy.
Sorry to interrupt. I'll raise my hand. Let me ask a question, if I may. So, Todd, do you use that same intro method when you are at an open networking that is not your Gold Star groups?
Absolutely not.
Oh,
it totally is different.
That's what I was going to ask. It's totally appropriate for a referral group setting.
Yes.
So that's right. And thank you, Charlene, because it is appropriate in a referral group setting. However,
absolutely,
if I walked into a networking meeting or a chamber event or what have you around town, and I met you for the first time, I'm not going to give you my pitch. I hate that word, but I wouldn't do that because I would want to know about you. I would like to know if there's any commonality there. I would like to know if there's anything that you possibly need help with that maybe I already know somebody that could help you with, or maybe even what we do could help you. But I'm not going to jump into that because I find it offensive a little bit, and I'm sure you ladies do too, where somebody goes up and says, hey, I'm Bob, I want to sell you something, and I got the best something you ever looked at, and you got to buy from me because it's great. Oh, got to go. That doesn't work for me at all.
I've met that pigeon, Todd.
I'm sorry?
I've met that pigeon. I've met that pigeon. You know, the kind of fly by, drop their shit and leave.
Yeah, that's right. You mentioned the pigeon.
They're
I
total
love it.
dweebs.
I love it.
Yes, Christy, for sure. But I think that back in the day, people were really taught to network like that, wouldn't you say?
And sometimes in open networking environments, they still do that or try to do that. And I got to tell you, I agree with you. It doesn't work. There's got to be something there that somebody can relate to. And if I don't listen to them first, I'm doing them a disservice because then I'm just trying to cram my stuff down their throat. It doesn't work for me, and I don't do it to other people. I want to get to know them.
And that's why understanding how to present yourself is so important because each platform has a different way to present yourself. So your
Correct.
platform of Gold Star is a referral group. And not to say that it's just like BNI. BNI is also considered a referral group.
Sure.
I call it a leads generation group, but it's a referral group, okay?
Correct.
But then you have local chamber of commerces who will have speaker lunches. That's a different format. You're going to talk differently there than you would a no rules networking style of just an open happy hour with a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So each of these platforms that we either physically walk into, or we're here on Blab, this is a different platform, or you're presenting yourself on LinkedIn, which is a different platform than Facebook, which is a different platform than Twitter. So understanding how you want your message to be received, you're going to formulate that message, the core message, in a different way for each of the different platforms.
Absolutely. And I fully believe that if
I'm sorry, it's just Mike is just.
I like that.
how about that? If you
Oh,
don't
I like that. That's cute.
if you don't have that is cute. Thanks, Michael. If you don't have a different plan, it's like at open networking groups or chambers or what have you. You go there and I've seen them. It's how many cards can I give away this week? And I'm here. I'm going to give away all my cards so people know they should call me. I usually find a trash can and drop their card into it. Because that's not how I do business. I do business because of the relationship. So, Chrsity, you're right on point with that. But for an example, if we do some teaching within our clubs, where if they're going to a live event like that and they want to have something to say, we teach them what to say. And it's kind of like what you guys are saying. You build a relationship first. There's an introduction, but then it's shut up and listen and ask good questions. Because if you're not asking questions, you won't learn anything. And if you don't listen to the answers before you jump in trying to solve a problem, or even if your product or service can solve that problem, just honestly, it's not the time. It's the time to get to know them, really feel them out, get to let that, everybody is a professional at talking about themselves. And my thought is get them talking about themselves, and I will learn more about them than they will probably ever share to me. I ask a few good questions and open the conversation up. So that's what we do in public events. So
Great stuff. I'm going to jump out in case somebody else from the audience wants to jump in. Love you, girls. Good to meet you.
Bye.
good to meet you, Charlene. Thanks.
Okay, you guys, we've got an open seat. We're networking the No Rules Way, talking about your presentation with author Chrsity Smallwood, who has kindly shared her book with us on Google Docs, Google Drive, I guess it is. So I'll let you put that.
Yeah, Chrsity, could you put that link back up again? I missed it when you.
There you go.
Aha! I'm going there.
Aha. And Todd, this is interesting conversation. I got to tell you. So when you belong to a referral group, do you belong to more than one?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so that's kind of always been one of my big issues locally is that I find that the same people are in the same groups everywhere. I'm in a small area.
Yep.
And I find that extremely ignoring. So for me personally, it takes me 3 years to give away a box of business cards because I don't get out to, this is how I network right here.
Which Blab is my fave. I love Blab.
Not just Blab, but with virtual networking and the social media platforms and Blab and this is the way I do it. So for me, again, like we were talking about presentation, I don't really tell people who I am too much. I prefer to find out who they are. I typically make appointments with just about everybody I meet online. My calendar is loaded with appointments because I take the time to reach out to most of the people that I meet online, find out who they are, what they're doing, how we can hook up, and how we can collaborate at whatever it may be. So that's how I present. I hope that I present myself well, but that's how I present myself. Let me see here. Steve, hey Steve, I see that you're here. He says, how many people on here have the guts to be the speaker at one of these network offline events? What does that do for your response rate?
So my question would be what do you mean by response rate?
Yeah, that would be my question. What do you mean by response rate too? Clearly we're all sitting up here, so none of us are afraid to talk.
That's one. I just did a discussion at a services. Interested. Oh, well, I have a twofold purpose whenever I speak somewhere. My full intention when I speak is to bring value to the group of people that I'm speaking to in an educational and entertaining way, because I want them to have value. Mm-hmm. If I go out and that is my first line of offense, that's my objective, then they're going to naturally want to come talk to me about more if it resonates with them, and I let them let them do that. Now I follow up after that with adding them to my network so I can continue to communicate with them, more offerings and things like that, because at the event they may not be ready to do anything, which is fine, but I want to be able, that creates a really good solid connection with them moving forward. Last night was awesome for me because I was in a room full of ladies. It was the weather was not good around here, so it was a long delay on the start time. Got started. It was a smaller than expected crowd. They were very apologetic, and I was like, it's fine. This is going to be great because now we can engage a little bit better. Do I try to become Facebook friends with all your Not all of them. Not all of them. That's a natural progression. I don't immediately go add people to Facebook. Now, LinkedIn, I want to professionally connect. So last night's story, just to answer that quick question on the sideline there. Last night, I had a lovely woman in there who was very vocal about how professional and credible she was with all of her networking and all of her mentoring experience and all of this and that and the other. And I was like, ooh, she's the one in the room that could potentially hate me because I'm standing up talking about networking, which is what she's already claimed she's the expert at. I'm like, this is going to be fun. So when I go with an objective to be valuable, that means to everybody in the room. So as a speaker, again, my presentation, I come across, I want to make sure people can relate to me. So I just start by not even talking about networking first, but it's a matter of relating to people as they already were in the room. I complimented her on her event that she had coming up. I promoted it for her. So she was like, oh, this lady's on my side of things. But then we were able to, whenever I speak, I figure out what do they think networking really is. I want to see where they are, just like we do here. What do you think networking really is? And then how are you presenting yourself? What are some tools that you can do? If you are an introvert or very shy person, there are tools that you can use that will make your system, it'll turn it into a system. It gives you a job to do instead of feeling overwhelmed in the room, not knowing where to start. I can give you tools that creates a job to do in the room, and you can be very effective that way. So all of that wrapped into by the end of my discussion with this group last night, she looked at me, she said, I'm impressed. She said, not only am I impressed, I'm joining this group because if they have more stuff like you to offer, I want to be part of the group. I'm like, whew. Looked at the president and said, you're welcome.
Awesome. Congrats.
That was my rate of response. That was my goal is to bring value to her. And I did that. That was my rate of response. She's going to continue to be with me. That's only one person in the room. The rest of them were all bonus. So my rate of they've already started connecting with me.
So I want to say that on the presentation for just a minute, I want to say, because I just think this is kind of an interesting observation that I have, and I'll let you guys weigh in on it. We have an open seat and 16 people in this room. So what about presenting yourself are you afraid of? That's what I want to know. What do you think, Todd?
That's a great question.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know you've already been here, Charlene, or we're working in the background. So, I know you're working in the background. Steve, you're always working in the background. And I know you've been on camera, but there are others in here. So what are you afraid of? What are your fears when it comes to presentation? I want to hear about them. What do you think, Christy? What are some of people's fears? Why is the seat open?
Not knowing how to start a conversation. Not knowing how to just jump in. We are 3 people having a conversation. It's hard to read the body language. Are we accepting of somebody coming into the conversation? We do have an open seat. You've put out an obvious open welcome, but it's just the initial getting started that's a big fear factor for a lot of people. It's almost like stage fright. I don't know how to put myself out there to begin with.
What do you think, Todd? True?
Well, you know what I think? It's impossible for any of us that have pictures up to throw things with any degree of impact if they sit down and we don't like what they say. Just going to say that. And what I found, and I think anybody on this video should think about, if you've been on a Blab for any length of time, most of these people, I'd say a huge majority, are very nice people. And so far, you got at least 2 ladies here that are really nice. I won't say anything about me because I won't curse at you. I'm just going to say a lot of friendly people. All we want to do is get your input. So it's easy to jump on. Just click that open seat and it says, what does it say? Oh, call in or something. Anyway, call in.
Yeah, I know it's something they've just changed. So
yeah, also changed the color of the background, but that's all right.
Yeah, I think you've got some personal controls now. You can push right top slash and type in light, and it changes the chat box to light. So they got some interesting things that's going on here on Blab right now.
I learned it all before it did the upgrade, and now I haven't had time to go back but thank you for the help. You say the up slash?
This one with the top
up backward right. Slash. Okay, or it looks like it's backwards to me.
Backwards or forwards? I've never known that. Anyway, I know that's totally light.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, type light. Charlene just steps right in there. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, thanks, Charlene.
Sabrina, I have like 2 minutes before I have to leave for another appointment.
Okay. We have like 2 minutes. So, Todd, we're going to connect, right? Let's hook up.
Oh, absolutely. I've already done that. Signed up for your email, your newsletter, excuse me. And I will go back to your site. I still have it up, and I will find out more about you. And Chrsity, thank you so much for making your book available. You may want to put that link back in, not telling you what to do, but I know it's way up in the. I don't see it there again, but just because if you're jumping off, people ought to take advantage of it. I haven't been able to open it yet because I was paying attention to what's going on here. But I look forward to taking a look at what you're doing. I think it's great.
Thanks, Todd. I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up, guys. I know it's a little 2 minutes early, but I know that Chrsity has another appointment today. We are networking the No Rules Way with author Chrsity Smallwood. She has made her book available to you on Google.
And Charlene, real quick, Charlene should love the book because she's mentioned in it. She's in the book.
She is mentioned in it. So the link is in the chat for you. Feel free to read Chrsity Smallwood's book. She has been kind enough to share it with us all. And we are here every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. networking the No Rules Way, and we're talking about a new and different subject. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off our recording. Thanks, everybody.